can even watch back, giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion, going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion, going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back, giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back, giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion, going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion, going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back, giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur.
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TV. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro, the Sick Podcast on this Monday, April 7. I hope you're all doing well. It is 4 minutes past 10 p.m. Eastern, and we are live at the Sick Podcast. Let me just fix the camera a little bit right there. Yeah, there we go. That's much better. There you go. Fantastic. All right. Okay. Thanks for being there. Thanks for watching. Live on Facebook, live on Twitter, live on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, you can do so. It is absolutely free. Thank you for doing so. The Sick Podcast is brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America. They are driven to be different, and they are a top fleet employer in the country. And by the way, it's a great place to have a career. Just ask Forbes magazine. It's one of the best companies, never mind just transport companies. It's one of the best companies to work for in Canada, period. It's Energy Transportation Group. Go to their website, shipenergy.com, and you can check out the career section, as a matter of fact, and you'll be able to see there that it's a company that hires very often because, of course, it's an ever-expanding company. Also brought to you in part by Bittt Tibi. You see them right behind me there in that fridge. Well, Bittt Tibi just came out with their new Ultra Lager, and it's a refreshing beer. Perfect for the spring days that we're going to get to. Look, you can see it right there on the screen. 90 calories, only 2 grams of carbs. 4% alcohol. It's ultra light and it's ultra refreshing. And we'll get to all of our sponsors a little bit later on. Without further ado, let's bring in from Sportsnet and sportsnet.ca, Eric Engels. Eric, what's going on?
What's going on is I'm blurry.
You're blurry?
Hold on.
It's one of those nights, I think, tonight.
Well, no. It's going to be a good night. Hold on. Let's figure this out.
There we go. You're not blurry anymore. Eric, we're good.
Technician, baby.
Yeah, that's not bad. Pretty good. Okay. All right. Okay. So, listen, without the Canadiens even playing, tonight is a great night for the Montreal Canadiens. Why? Because out of the teams that are behind them in the standings, as the Canadiens have the second wildcard spot going into tonight's game, the New York Rangers were the only ones that were in action, and the Rangers played on home ice at MSG in New York, the Tampa Bay Lightning. And as Tony Marinaro told you earlier this morning, the Rangers were going to lose. And not only so much about the Rangers, but Tampa Bay is just firing on all cylinders right now.
A little bit about the Rangers, too.
Yeah, I know that.
Like, they are really...
Their special teams are just picked a bad time to be bad. Even the season.
Yeah, special teams, even the games that they've won, like they're so loose. It's been tough to watch them play, honestly, and to see them lose 4-0 to the Devils the other day. Like they didn't show up for the first period. I know that people look at the Canadiens the last game and 3 games in 4 nights with travel into the Central Time Zone, late arrival, guys out of the lineup, guys back in rusty. That was a real gutsy win for a 5th straight win. And I know Nashville was missing Yossi, and I know they were missing Marchessault and Sissons and some other players that are key players for them, and they're already a bad team. But they had lost 5 games in a row and desperately wanted to win, and they hadn't played since Thursday.
Correct.
So you talk about it being a good night for Montreal. It was a phenomenal week for them because they took care of their own business, and that's what they needed to do.
you know, I keep on saying this, but I said before the season started that I thought the Canadiens would be in the mix, but they'd end up missing out on a playoff spot by 2 points. Okay.
Mhm.
I don't know too many people that picked them to make the playoffs. I do know my buddy Maxime Lapierre. Oh, did you? Yeah. All right. Okay. Very good. Yeah. I did not, was not aware, but good for you.
Sportsnet.ca, our insider predictions.
All right. Fantastic.
Canadiens making the playoffs. I also had the Boston Bruins making the playoffs, though, and I had the Ottawa Senators missing. So,
Okay.
What do I know?
Okay, but Maxime Lapierre did have him making the playoffs. So did Gilbert Delorme, and so did you. Good for you. And I've been asked on several occasions for my prediction. I said, guys, look, I don't want to yo-yo go back and forth and stuff like that. So I'll just stick by what I said.
Mm-hmm.
But I said to a couple of friends of mine going into the weekend's action, I said, look, guys, I think if the Canadiens beat the Flyers on Saturday and they can go to Nashville to win on Sunday when they're going to be playing 3 games in 4 nights, I go, if they could win both those games, I think at that point, I think we can say that they're going to make the playoffs. Now, it's not over yet, but let's bring up the standings after the Rangers lose.
The math looks good.
But it's
I'm not a math major, but it looks good.
MoneyPuck.com before the Rangers game had the Canadiens having, what was it, an 82 or something like that. And I think Hockey Reference had them like a 90% chance of making the playoffs. Well, with the Rangers losing now, the Rangers have played the same amount of games as the Canadiens, and they have 6 points less. So right behind the Canadiens, who are in the second wildcard spot, right outside of the playoffs, are the Detroit Red Wings, who have 6 points less than the Montreal Canadiens and a game in hand. They talk about those traditional 4-point games. That 4-point game is going to happen tomorrow night. The Canadiens at home will host the Detroit Red Wings. And for the, as far as the Red Wings are concerned, let's be honest here. Tomorrow night is as close to a playoff game, maybe even a game 7 of a first round for them.
Tomorrow night is game 7 for them. And for
Yes.
the Canadiens, it is, we've talked about every game they've gone into as the biggest game of the season, but this one is more. You have the chance to extinguish hope for both these teams. They won't be mathematically eliminated, but they will be spiritually defeated. And if you can do that, and they've done a great job of taking care of their own business, and it's a big if, because, Detroit is starting to come back and play better. I've watched their last couple games.
Yeah.
This is their push. It's ironic. You go back to last year, the Canadiens weren't playing for much. They had those last 2 games of the season against Detroit and pushed them to the limit. I mean, the stress level was huge, and the Red Wings ended up losing on a tiebreaker to make the playoffs. Well, the Canadiens own the tiebreaker over the Red Wings. They don't own it over the Rangers.
Yeah.
And it's down to a second tiebreaker against the Red Wings. So that would change if they lose in regulation tomorrow. So
Yeah.
look, I don't want to get too much into the mathematical iterations because neither of us are here to talk about,
Okay.
trigonometry or anything like that. But the math is looking
I want to
good,
talk
and
about,
it will be impossible. It will be not impossible, but it will be really hard for either of those teams to dig their way out of the hole if the Canadiens plunder them deeper tomorrow.
The Sick Podcast is brought to you in part by Betway. Go all the way with Betway and get a free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses. Who had the Montreal Canadiens making the playoffs before the season started? I would imagine you're cashing in or will cash in pretty shortly. Scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account. Redeem your welcome offer. The offer is only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offers not available in Ontario. Must be 18 years of age and older. And please play responsible. Also brought to you in part by Accent Insurance Solutions. All insurance isn't created equal, and you know where to find the right solution for you. Accent Insurance. Accent doesn't sell insurance. They shop insurance for you to find the right product right on the money, whatever your insurance needs, home, automobile, or business. Visit their website, www.accentassurance.com. You can jot down their number. Give them a call tomorrow, 514-363-3636. Yesterday, a couple of things happened. One of the things that happened was Mike Matheson got stripped of the puck, and it led immediately to a Nashville goal scored by Steven Stamkos. The other thing that happened is that when all was said and done, Mike Matheson was like 15 seconds or so shy of 32 minutes of ice time. And there's another thing that happened, that after Matheson got stripped of the puck, which led to Nashville's first goal, I saw what was going on in social media, and I got tagged in a lot of them. The Matheson abuse was in full force last night, to the point where people were saying he stinks, he sucks, he's no good, he shouldn't be on the team. He shouldn't be on the team, Eric.
I know you're a busy guy. Did you get a chance to read my column from last night?
I did.
You did or didn't?
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, and Matheson.
Okay. Listen, I've come to accept that people it's very hard to change.
They're mad at us, hey, Eric. They say that we defend Matheson at all costs and that and all that stuff. Yeah.
Don't give a shit. People believe what they believe, and they're very hard to persuade to change their opinions on things, and that's fine. I do my job. I'm not doing it to try to change anybody's opinion, but I am trying to open some eyes when their opinion is so slanted in a certain way. And I had people cherry picking stats at me and trying to tell me I'm off my rocker. I had one guy asking if I'm being paid to write this stuff by the team. I noted in my piece, it's front and center. Mike Matheson makes bad, glaring, costly mistakes. That is the nature of his position, the role that he's in, and the type of player he is, the level of skill that he has. I said that when Lane Hutson makes a mistake, it will be a glaring highlight reel level mistake. And he's made a few of them this year. He has outweighed the bad with a lot of good. Mike Matheson has done the same, but people have it out for Mike Matheson because he went from scoring 62 points last year, sacrificing his offensive role so that Hutson could score 64 this year with 5 games to go. He plays the 8th most minutes in the NHL. Who stripped him of the puck yesterday? It was Philip Forsberg. Who scored the goal? It was Steven Stamkos. Because Mike Matheson plays against the best players every night, and when you make one mistake, it could end up in the back of your net. And that happens to Mike Matheson more often than anybody wants.
If I can add, perfectly said.
I get that, and it's fine.
And it also can happen often because he's on the ice often.
Yes,
and it also can happen often because he ends up touching the puck often. And it also can happen often because he has the confidence to carry the puck often. So you add all of those things together, a guy who's on the ice all the time, who touches the puck very often, who likes to control the puck, who likes to play with the puck, who likes to try and start the offense, who likes to make things happen, who has confidence and ability, who's on the ice versus the other team's best players. He's going to be on the ice for goals against. And I'm not going to pretend to say that he's a perfect player, because a player like him, who skates as great as he does, who has no maintenance whatsoever, who's a great family guy and a great teammate and everyone would want to have, after 8 years in the league, he was on his 3rd NHL team because he makes mistakes. In an ideal world, and I'll give you the opportunity to continue, Eric, I said this earlier today, in an ideal world, Mike Matheson plays less than 20 minutes a game. Mike Matheson does not play the penalty kill, and Mike Matheson is not going up against the best players on the other team in an ideal world for the Canadiens. The Canadiens don't have an ideal team. They're not in an ideal world, and he plays 26 minutes per game on average. Last night he played almost 32 in the situations that we know. And now I say in an ideal world, the only reason why I say in an ideal world is not because not capable of doing it. I'm saying that one day, if the Montreal Canadiens are a cup contender, and Mike Matheson, if he's still on this team, he could be a 3rd pairing guy at that point.
One day, 3rd pairing. Like, let's not go crazy here. He could be the best number 4 defenseman in the league if he gets up in that situation based on the experience he's had so far. I think you could keep him around 20 to 21 minutes versus 25-08 that he's playing if you have players that can handle those assignments, and those players will grow into those roles. Caden Gooley would have absolutely taken on a lot more of it if he was available and not unhealthy from time to time because he got injured in freak ways. Hopefully he has got more road in front of him. Hopefully David Reinbacher finds a healthy path moving forward, because he's going to be a player that can take on some of those minutes and push Matheson down. As of right now, nobody can do that. Okay. And I want to look, if you see the mistakes, and mistakes are all you see, it's very easy for your opinion to get tainted. I think most people who watch hockey, they watch the puck, and it's only normal that you watch the puck. And it's a lot harder to watch away from the puck when you're watching on TV versus in the rink. But even if you're in the rink, I don't think the average hockey fan is necessarily trained to constantly be watching away from the puck. And I know I'm not watching you right now because I'm looking down at my phone, but I went digging into some statistics, because some of the statistics that were lobbed at me yesterday were so cherry-picked. Mike Matheson has 103 giveaways, and he's got 103 giveaways. Cale Makar has 108. He averages 30 seconds more than Matheson a game, but Matheson is 8th in the league in terms of average ice time. And if you look at the giveaways list, anybody who has the most ice time and has the puck on their stick a lot is going to have the most giveaways. Okay, that's number one. Number two, Mike Matheson isn't producing as much. He had 62 points last year. He also started over 60% of his shifts in the offensive zone last year. This year, he is starting 74% of his shifts away from the offensive zone. He's playing against the best players on every single shift that he takes practically. I want to talk about some of the defensive numbers for Mike Matheson because I went digging into Sport Logic to get to this, okay? Here are some real numbers that for people who hate him so much, they could chew on them, okay? Per game. This is rates per game. Stick checks. He ranks. Hold on. Sorry. I'm looking at.
Don't worry about it. Take your time. I'm not going anywhere.
I have the right one. Last year in the league, he ranked first, by the way, in stick checks. This year, per game, 6th in the NHL, stick checks. These are defensive stats, okay?
Yeah.
Blocked passes, 49th in the league. This is per game. 25th block shots per game. 21st defensive zone puck battles won. 21st in the NHL. Okay? D-zone carryouts. 26th in the NHL. Offensive zone entries. 25th in the NHL. Rush chances. 31st in the NHL. And possession time. 13th in the NHL. If all you see is the mistakes and all you watch is the puck, you're going to hate Mike Matheson because he's going to make mistakes. And when he makes them, they're going to be costly because he's playing against the best players in the world and he's got the puck on his stick a lot. And you're not going to notice every time he hunts, he chases down the puck in his own end and retrieves it and gets it out of trouble. The amount of times he skates it out of the zone, the amount of times that he faces a check head on and pushes it to the next player so that it gets out of Montreal's end. There are so many good things he does. He played 31-46 in last night's game. He blocked 7 shots. He played 7:51 out of the 8 they killed, the 8 minutes they were on the penalty kill. Okay? For the last 2:40 of the game with the net empty, he was on the ice and he blocked the last shot of the game. Okay? You're not going to see that if all you're doing is watching the puck. So stop just watching the puck. He is not a perfect player. He is a flawed player. He will take on more risk than most players take on because he has more skill. And to access that skill, you've got to take on more risk. Does he take on more than he should? Absolutely. It's been a problem he has battled his entire career. He got a lot better from Florida to Pittsburgh. He got a lot better from Pittsburgh to Montreal. He is not perfect. And in a perfect world, those guys that we talked about, Gooley, Reinbacher, they come. They're able to eat up more minutes. He's able to be more in the 20 to 21 zone instead of the 25 zone. He's able to get a few shifts away from the best players in the world, and he still does all that stuff and becomes one of the best number 4s in the league. And if that happens, and not to mention, by the way, like we said all this, the guy makes $4.8 million. He makes $4.8 million. There are no players with the responsibilities that he's got and handling them very well for 96% of the game. I know he makes one mistake here and there that's awful. He hates it more than anybody. If you know Mike Matheson, this guy beats the shit out of himself when he makes a mistake, and he works his ass off to make sure he's trying to erase it. People just need to chill out, and they need to learn how to like actually assess this stuff. Because some of the stuff that came back at me after I wrote what I wrote, I will say there's a lot of people who got it. They understood it. Yeah, there was some objectivity. And I think there's a lot of people in the fan base also that understand and appreciate exactly what Mike Matheson is.
So
the people who only see his mistakes, man, like, start opening your eyes.
I'll give you some Matheson stats. In the last 4 games, they played Florida on a Tuesday night, right? They won 3-2. Matheson played 26 minutes. A couple nights later, they played the Boston Bruins. They beat them too. Matheson played 25 minutes. On Saturday, they played Philly. They beat them. Matheson played 26 minutes. The night after that, when they were playing 3 games in 4 nights, travel included, and it was 4 games in 6 nights and travel included, he played 32 minutes. On average, in the last 4 games, I think Mike Matheson has played over 28 minutes a game for the Montreal Canadiens.
What, +6? +6 over that time? He was even yesterday. I know everybody's freaking out about last night's goal.
Let's add this.
He was even in the game.
Let's add this. Is Marty St. Louis an idiot? Is Stéphane Robida an idiot? They play Mike Matheson more than any other defenseman on the team because they know that the good outweighs the bad. Now, I'm going to say this, and you just said it, and we're going to get off of Mike Matheson here, is that he's not unanimous. We get it. He's not the perfect defenseman. We get all that stuff. And you know what? I can have people text me or message me when they think he makes a mistake or they think he made a bad play or he got taken to the outside the way he did against the Bruins by Geeky, I think. But to tell me that Mike Matheson shouldn't be on the team, but now people are talking stupid now. Let's be honest here. If Mike Matheson wasn't on the team, the Canadiens are so far out of a playoff spot, it's not even funny.
I just don't want.
There's nobody in house that could do basically. The guy's a cardio machine.
There's nobody to take it from him right now. That's it. That's it. Listen, Tony, I don't want people looking at us and saying, wow, these guys are just Mike Matheson blinders on and the cheerleader.
There's no blinders. He made a huge mistake versus the Boston Bruins. He made a huge mistake last night versus Nashville.
The mistakes are costly. They are glaring. They are highlight level. And the more of them he can clean up, the less of it we have to hear about how bad he is, quote unquote. Okay? We have acknowledged what the mistakes look like when he makes them, and he makes too many of them. And he would be the first to tell you that he should have a better risk-reward calculation, especially when he's the last man back. Okay?
Yeah.
But that's like 4% of the game.
Well, Vinny Pioli says, though, what bothers me is why can't Jack Guy go? Why, when he does mistakes, he gets punished? Because the coaches don't trust his game as much.
No. Jack Guy, when Jack Guy makes mistakes, which he made about 4 mistakes that were on the same level as Matheson's last night, he's on the ice against players who don't end up putting the puck in the net. Like, that is a factor. If you watch that, go back and watch the game last night. Go back and watch the game in full. And you can count the mistakes that Jack. And I'm not saying this to pick on Jack Guy, by the way. I think he's made fantastic progress this year. He has come. He's still young. He's 23 years old. He's got limited experience in the league. It takes over 300 games for any player at any position, but particularly at defense. It really takes a long. Like Lane Hutson's a unicorn. Okay, like this is for him to be doing what he's doing in his rookie season is obscene, and his ability to get better and adapt is not incremental. It is exponential because that's what superstars do. Arber Xhekaj is not a superstar. Arber Xhekaj has fought for everything he is literally with his fists, but also with his ability to get his place in the NHL. And he is not in a place where he's going to be perfect. But one of the things that I love about what's happened with Xhekaj this year is nobody's needed to tell him when he's made mistakes. Okay. He has found a way to self-assess much better and correct himself. He'll go into the coach's office and say, that was on me and I should do this. He is learning to process the game much better, and he will be a very effective player as he moves along in his career. But he was rusty coming off 4 games off. There is no, he's being treated this way and Matheson's being treated different. We're talking about players in different categories and different roles.
No, but I do believe that Matheson has longer leash though, because I think the coach trusts his game more.
He has to. And also, but
he knows he can give him more.
Factor. Arber's mistakes are not going to result. They're not going to be highlight level. They're not going to result in goal. When Matheson gives a puck away, it's the Forsberg or Stamkos or McKinnon or take your pick. Pick your poison. Okay? Jack Guy's not being put in those situations, and it's a good thing he's not, because he's still a young defenseman. He's not a rookie, as Marty St. Louis said recently. He should know better than to turn a 3-on-2 into a 2-on-1. But again, we should all take the time to wonder why it is that someone does something. I know why Arber Xhekaj did that in the Carolina game. He was playing 2.5 minutes at that point, and he made a decision that I gotta do something. I gotta prove that I'm in this game and I can do something that somebody else can't. And just wrong timing, bad decision. And I'm sure he regretted it more than anybody. Same way Mike Pizzetta, when he skipped 30 games, came in and took a rash of penalties 3 games in a row. Why? Because he wants to show that he could do. He didn't want to take a penalty. He wants to show that he can go and get some skin on the forecheck. And so there's always a reason. And hockey is a game of mistakes. Yeah. Everybody makes them. And the ones who are in the most critical situations, when they make them, they really pay. They really pay. And Lane Hutson's going to pay too.
Jack is 24, though, by the way. Turned 24.
Okay, 24.
Yeah, in the January. But anyway.
Happy birthday, Arber.
Yes, and Lane Hutson, by the way, turned 21 about a couple of months ago as well, because everyone keeps on saying he's 20. I'm happy that Jack Guy played last night. Yeah, I know. I'm happy that Jack Guy played last night. I think it was the right move by Marty St. Louis, because David Savard is like, he's blocked 8,000 shots, and he's been laboring, and even at that on Saturday, I don't think he got a lot of minutes. I think he had about 11 minutes or something like that.
You could see the bruises. You could see, one thing about David Savard, man, his attitude is fantastic. He's not complaining about any of this, and I think just the natural course of things. I don't know that David Savard needs to be playing in a back-to-back anyways in 3 and 4, and that situation traveling to Central Time, especially if he's a little banged up. So it's a great opportunity to get Arbor back in there. I think Arbor can play better, and I think he will. I think Savard can play better, and I think he will. I thought he had a very good game against Boston in that limited role, but this is his world now. He's in a limited role. He's going to play 10 minutes a game. He's going to play on the penalty kill. He's going to play in the last couple minutes, and that's who David Savard is now at this stage of his career.
All right, okay. We have plenty to talk about, but not before I talk to you, of course, about Playground. If you're looking for the ultimate entertainment destination, it's Playground. They're your ticket to nonstop thrills. Experience heart-pumping gaming action and world-class poker experience. Playground is the 2025 winner of Fan Choice Best Poker Room at the Global Poker Awards. Indulge your taste buds at their incredible restaurants. Then let loose with live music, electrifying DJs. Enjoy unmatched customer service just minutes from downtown Montreal, right across from the Mercier Bridge. While settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary. Playground, it's all here. Visit playground.ca to discover more. 20 goal scorers. Let's bring up a graphic. 20 goal scorers. The Canadiens have 4 different 20 goal scorers in a season for the first time since 2014, 2015. This is what I was hoping was going to happen when Marty St. Louis was named head coach of the Montreal Canadiens about 38 months ago. I was hoping that he was the coach. It was a rebuild. He was going to work on his offensive concepts. He was going to play open hockey. He was going to play an offensive brand of hockey. He was going to develop offensive players. He was going to develop goal scorers. Guys were going to score in that system, and that's exactly what's happened. Cole Caufield is 36. Nick Suzuki's got 27. Brendan Gallagher has 20. Patrick Laine has 20. Wow, those are great numbers.
Those are great numbers. Those are great numbers. A lot of guys with over 10, which is great too. When you spread the scoring out, especially without a second line for most of the year, right? Like Kirby Dach, tough year. Alex Newhook, unlucky. A lot of really good hockey from Alex Newhook without the luck being on his side. I think, that might have turned differently if at different points of the season, depending on who he might have been playing with.
You're better off, if I can, having 8 players who have scored between 10 and 35 goals.
Yeah.
Than having a 50 and a 40.
Yeah. And Cole Caufield, who would love to score 40 or 50, I think at his peak, which he's still a year or two away from, he has become the player that they were trying to develop. A guy that could be 40-40 and be trusted in the last minute.
I think Caufield's going to score 40 this year. I think he's going to score 40.
Maybe. I just think we're looking at a guy who throughout his prime is going to be a 40-40 guy who could be trusted at both ends of the ice in any situation.
Yes.
I think that's what he's become. And I have to give credit because Marty deserves a ton of credit, but Adam Nicholas deserves a shit ton of credit for what he has done from a development.
Adam Nicholas is amazing at what he does. Very good.
He's a brilliant guy.
He's the great hire that very few people talk about. Yeah.
But, I think the way our prism of thinking about player development is always about the improvement of guys who really need to improve. Adam has helped make really good players better too. Like Nick Suzuki is a very good example of bringing a very good player or even a great player to elite status and helping them reach that path. And yes, it's been linear in terms of production for Nick, which is a very rare thing. It speaks to how special a player he is. But there have been very specific things focused on between Nick and Adam that have put Nick in a frame of mind of which routes to take, how to develop chemistry with Slavkovsky and Cole as they're growing, how to find the areas of the ice where he is most dangerous more often. They watch video, like the three of them together, to find different. It's not just, I think a lot of people think of video sessions for the players as one player sitting down with a coach. They'll take a line and bring them together and show them how they can maximize each other's potential. And they're working on that stuff in practice nonstop. The structuring of practices, and Marty, where I give Marty a ton of credit, is his openness to allowing Adam to design a lot of what they do in practice so that they simulate reality and game situations. This is not the player development skills coach type stuff that we've seen in other places for all those years that the Canadiens didn't have it, okay? Because this is not throwing tires at guys at the point and watching them stick handle around them and take shots to them. This is developing here. And I think Adam and his staff have done an amazing job, and that you could just see that not only in guys like Cole, they're probably their strongest development project, or Slav, who's another one. Nick is a great example. Brendan Gallagher is a great example, just of fine-tuning different things that were not in his game before, that have allowed him to adapt and get back to doing the things that he had always done at a different level. Like he's a much better, more complete player now. And it's when
Kent Hughes came in, I remember him talking about Brad Marchand with the Bruins, right? Saying Brad Marchand was always a good player, but the Bruins ended up making him a better player. They ended up making him a great hockey player. And the Canadiens wanted to obviously make Brendan Gallagher a better hockey player. And Marty St. Louis took it personally too, with Brendan Gallagher saying, you know what, kind of got to reinvent himself a little bit, maybe change some of the things that he was doing, not getting away from what he did, but maybe doing some things a little bit differently, maybe playing a little bit smarter than he did in the past. And because, when the body can't follow, you're going to need the brain to actually make up for it and stuff like that. But I think Gallagher too, it always comes down to the player in the end too, right? Gallagher, his cardio looked like it was off a couple of years ago, and it probably was. And it was probably because of the hip injuries, and probably because of the hand injuries, and just an accumulation of injuries over time is probably why he looked like he was a little bit slower. But I do think that he took his off-season training a little bit differently, and probably adapted with the times a little bit, because
Tony, a little bit, but I'm telling you right now, the adaptation for Brendan was much more mental than physical, because he's always taken care of himself in a great way. The reason why he doesn't look as gassed coming back to the bench is because he is much more efficient in the way he plays the game. He does not expend energy in a useless manner anymore. There is much more intention behind each of his actions, and he's able to coast in different areas of the ice because he doesn't need to put maximal effort in those places, so that he can reserve it for the places where he can be most effective. You said something key, the player. It starts with the player, and that is one thing in development that hasn't changed going back to Marc Bergevin's era, where he always said that. The commitment that Gallagher has made himself to being open to these concepts and adopting them has revived his career. And I give great credit to Adam and to Marty and the staff. Go to Scott Pellerin and go down the list of the guy, Paul Byron, whoever you want to pick, okay, on the development staff. They've just done, this was the biggest flaw for the Canadiens for over a decade. You could talk about drafting and go through Trevor Timmins' picks all you want, okay? Their inability to develop the players that were drafted that had promise was the biggest issue. And the reality was they weren't equipped to do it properly. And Jeff Gorton and Kent Hughes came here with that being a priority. And that priority, where the way they have acted on it and where it has come from and what this team is doing right now, that is player development. And I know you talk to Pierre Maguire all the time.
Yeah.
Like, Pierre would really understand. Pierre would love this segment because he would really understand what we're talking about here. I hope a lot of people out there do, because the work that these people are doing has been undersold a little bit. And it's the biggest reason the Canadiens rebuild so far hasn't gone like this and then like this and then like this. It's going like this.
So I talked about Caufield and his 36 goals, and I said I have a feeling that he can hit 40 this year. If I would bet, I would bet on it actually, and we'll see what happens. It's not going to be easy. He's going to have to pick up 4 goals in the remaining 5 games. But with Detroit tomorrow, Ottawa on Friday, in Toronto on Saturday, and hosting Chicago and Carolina in the last game of the regular season, I feel good about his chances because you know what? They've accomplished a lot thus far as a team. The 420-plus goal scorers on pace to make the playoffs. Suzuki over a point per game. And one of the things I would imagine was an objective for Caufield was to try and hit 40. And I'm not going to say that they're going to play for him because they're not going to change their game to make him get the 40. But, they'll be looking for him a little bit more, I think.
I think he'd already have 40 if he wasn't so committed to doing all the things that he does over 200 feet of the ice. And we talk about not watching the puck in Matheson's case. Watch Caufield away from the puck. Watch how many battles he wins when he gets there. And that to me is the most impressive thing about his evolution as a player. He wins a ton of battles. He wins a ton of battles from a position of weakness. He is not the same size as just about anybody that he's going up against, and he wins them. He's very strong. He's a very strong player, and he doesn't shy away from any of it. You don't look at him going into a one-on-one battle on the forecheck and pulling up. He doesn't do that. Again, credit the player. This player, he could have gotten his cookies and eaten them. Like he came here. Caufield could have cracked 40 goals last year if he wasn't committed to what they were trying to work on him with. And if he wasn't still committed to it, he'd already have 40 and probably been making his way to 50 this year.
Speaking of Caufield, yesterday he talked about how the team is finding new ways to win. Let's hear from Cole Caufield.
You just got to find ways to win right now. And, whether our starts are good or bad, you got to stay in it and play a full 60. And I thought we did that tonight. I thought we bounced forward in the second. Obviously, took the lead, and it's a pretty tough one to hold. So credit to our penalty kill; they did a great job tonight, and Dobie was great again. So that was a full group effort, and just found a way.
Dobie was great again. He was asked about being the number 2 goalie yesterday and playing the amount of games or lack thereof, and whether or not it's a big challenge. Let's hear from Jakub Dobeš. I love this his answer, by the way, yesterday. Let's hear from him.
Happy every day that I'm here. There's only 64 goalies in this league. I'm one of them, so.
But it's a challenge to stay ready, yeah?
I mean, is it? I don't think so.
No?
I'm living the dream, so I don't know how many people want to be in my shoes. So,
a lot, probably.
Yeah, so that's how I take it, and trying to give my chance a chance to win, and I'm happy where we at, and we are a good group of guys, and I feel like the personal achievements got to go aside, and we just got to try to win as a group, and I feel like that's everyone's mentality, and it's working for us.
Hard not to like Jakub Dobeš. Someone said to me earlier this morning, actually my colleague at BPM Sports, Alex Longto, said, you know what, though? I looked a little shaky, sometimes a little bit out of his net, sometimes a little bit nervous. And I said, yeah, you're probably right about all those things. But, when you play 2 games per month, it's hard not to be. But I got to love Jakub Dobeš, who, by the way, I think was being very diplomatic and very nice. But at the same time, you know what? He is being put in a challenging situation. He said, no, he's having fun with it. He says, listen, there's 64 goalies in this league, and I'm one of them, and I'm having fun with it. And there's a lot of guys who like to be in my shoes, and he's right. Without saying that he completely stole the game last night, because there's some other players who came up big too. He's the single number one reason why the Montreal Canadiens won that game last night. Jakub Dobeš stopped 36 saves, and after Stamkos scored that goal, he was a brick wall, and nothing went through him. And you could say that he was out of position if you want, or he was this or that. What that goalie showed me last night, and he's continued to show me this season, even in games where it hasn't gone his way and he's given up 4+ goals, because that was his average in the last 6 or 7 games before last night, is that this guy battles. He's a real fighter. And even when he's out of position, he fights to get back in. And even when things are tough, he battles to get back in the game. I like Dobeš a lot. And, I'm happy they played him last night, because you never know what happens down the stretch. Knock on wood, but Montembeault gets hurt. He pulls something, and all of a sudden you got to go with Dobeš. This game last night, I think it's going to give him a lot of confidence. I really believe that.
All right, so a couple things, and I love everything you just said. Tough situation, but him having that attitude is the best thing about him. That is a great attitude and a tremendous amount of perspective for a 23-year-old guy. Okay. He's got 80 games of professional experience. 8-0. That's mostly in the AHL, where he's played 65 of them. He's made 15 appearances in the NHL. There's a lot of room for this goaltender to grow. What I love about him on the ice is how competitive he is. His teammates could tell that he's battling his ass off to make saves. It doesn't look pretty most of the time. I think he's got a lot of time to work on making the easy saves look much easier than he does. He makes them look a bit hard because he's a bit out of position. He makes the hard saves look even a bit harder because he's scrambling around a little bit. That's the stuff that he will work on, the technical stuff.
Yeah.
You can't. There are guys who are technically brilliant at that position, who are not half as competitive as him. And there are other guys who don't have as good of an attitude about a situation where they're in the NHL, they want their chance, and they have to wait 10 to 12 games to get it. There's a playoff chase going on. Any opportunity you get to take the net, you make sure you take advantage of it, and you do whatever you can to make the saves. In that regard, Jakub Dobeš is beyond reproach. He'll work on the technical stuff. And look, if Montembeault goes down, yes, that's an opportunity for Dobeš. It's certainly a possibility with how much Montembeault's played. And Jacob Fowler's in the organization too. So it's not like he just gets the net and it's his. There's going to be somebody pushing from behind. There's going to be Caden Primo who will see a door opening up. The bottom line is, like, this went from the biggest position of weakness for the Canadiens to it's become, I don't want to call it the biggest position of strength. It's certainly not that. There's a lot to be proven at that position for all the guys that are there. But it's no longer a weakness. That much is certain at this point.
All right, okay. Speaking of clips, Nick Suzuki on how the team didn't really deserve to win against Nashville. Let's hear from the captain.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like just one of those games where, we couldn't really get anything going and just, kept grinding and, probably might not deserve the win, but, we'll take it. And it's two really big points for us. And, Dobie stood on his head for a lot of big saves and pretty much got us the win. So we'll take it and move on.
Yeah, no, he did really stand on his head. So speaking of Suzuki, by the way, let's bring up a graphic. How has he been doing since the Four Nations face-off? Let's bring it up.
That's there.
Nick Suzuki has 32 points in 21 games since the Four Nations break. He has 84 points in 77 games this season. And as I said a couple of days ago, the best thing about this is that we don't have to hear anybody say anymore. He's not a number one centerman. He doesn't have a point per game in the National Hockey League. Because if that's how they gauge it, even though it's funny, because Patrice Bergeron had never had an 80-point season in the National Hockey League, but for everyone, he was a number one centerman. Ryan O'Reilly, the year they won the Cup, at 77 points, but for everyone, he was a number one centerman. Suzuki had 77 last year at 24 years of age, but no, he's not a number one centerman. He doesn't have a point per game. I think everyone can stop now.
I can't believe we do this every week.
We do this every week. No, but I like really everyone can stop. Like if somebody today says that he's not, let's not even number one, but he's not the top 20 centerman in the National Hockey League. And by the way, on any given night, I think he could be anywhere between it. Since the Four Nations break, he's been a top 10 centerman in the National Hockey League.
He's one of the best players in the world, bar none, period.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And if you don't think that, then you're just trolling.
If he finishes 12th in NHL scoring, where he ranks right now, and 6th among centers, where he ranks right now, then he's the greatest second-line center of all time. Like, if you finish that high up the chart and you still believe that guy's a second-line center, name me anybody in the history of the game who played as a second-line center who's better than that guy. So we could just put that whole thing to bed because it's so stupid at this point.
Yeah, it is.
It's over. I don't even know. Is there anybody still saying it? Is that still a thing?
If anybody's saying it, they're just trolling. The guy is such an amazing 200-foot centerman who on any given night could outplay any top 10 centerman in the league on any given night. He's done it to Barkov 4 times this season. He did it to McKinnon.
He's also, look, he's driving his line, but he's not doing it alone. The fact that both the players he's playing with are progressing as well is what has made all 3 of them that much better. It's something to get so excited about if you're a Canadiens fan in terms of their future. Nick is 25. There's 5 more years on his deal at less than $8 million. Slav is 21, just turned 21. Is about to enter into an 8-year deal at under $8 million. Cole has 6 more years after this one at under $8 million. And you think about where Suzuki is as a year older at 25. Think about where Caufield will be coming off a career year, 2 career years in a row. It's just, this is how this team will become an actual contender. It's because the contract structure there enables them to, if they get 1 or 2 players that are even better than those guys, or that they get paid more, whatever it is, then boom, you're off to the races. And then there's Hutson, right?
Yeah.
So,
and by the way, someone said, well, we need a fresher top. The plan was not to talk about whether Suzuki is a number 1 centerman or not, because everyone knows that he obviously is. The plan was to talk about Suzuki picking up 32 points in the last 21 games, picking up a couple of points on Saturday, picking up a point yesterday, picking up points all the time and all that stuff. And he's got 84 points. He's the first centerman to do it since Kovalev. And all I said, my only comment was that the best part about Suzuki picking up more than 82 points in the season is now everyone who used to say that he's not because he never had a point per game.
It's fair. It's fair. It made me yawn just now.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Well, I don't want to make you yawn.
It's fair.
Lane Hutson's goal. I was at Sammy's fundraiser, obviously Sammy's gala on Saturday night, and it was an amazing event, by the way, with over 450 people in attendance, and they're still counting it up. But I think a good 60,000+ is going to go to Cure SMA Canada for spinal muscular atrophy. And the Cavaleros in the last 23 years or so have raised over $2 million for the cause, which is amazing.
That's awesome.
You know, I had the phone on the table and I was watching the Canadiens game, and, every now and then my wife was getting upset at me. She usually does that about 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. But anyway, that's another story for another day. So I put my phone down at one point, and then we all made our way to the bar area or in the lobby area where there's a big TV, and many of us were watching. But word started going throughout the whole reception hall that Hutson scored a goal that was unbelievable. We all got to our phones right away, and then we started watching TV, and they showed the replay again later on. My God, what a goal he scored. And at such a big opportune time, too. Gallagher had tied it at 1 after the Canadiens had not scored in period number 1. They had not scored in period number 2. Gallagher ties it at 1 about a minute and a half into period number 3. And then less than a minute and a half later, Lane Hutson scores a goal where he goes end to end, goes wide to on the left-hand side, and from a very bad angle, beats Urson short side underneath the top corner in a goal that he probably should have had. But the reason probably why he didn't have it is he probably thought there's no way that this guy's shooting from there. And if he is, there's no way he's going to be able to pick the top corner. What a goal, man.
We had a couple hilarious moments after the game. One being that I was standing with Cole, and Arpin Basu looks at Cole and goes, how does it feel to have taken 90 shots from that angle and just Lane takes one and scores?
Good one. Good one.
We were laughing pretty good over that.
Good one.
I walked up to Lane after, and I said, "Did you see Urson bump the net before you shot?" And he said, "Is that what happened?" I was like, "That's why you scored." Like Urson, in realizing that a shot is about to come, scrambles back and bumps the net back a little bit. It stays on the moorings, but it bumps the net enough for the angle to open up even more for that shot to go in.
Yeah.
To me, the finish is remarkable. The rush up the ice, breaking ankles along the way that's just, it's running out of adjectives for Lane Hutson. I just find he makes, speaking of plays off the puck.
Yeah.
With the puck, he makes 10 to 15 plays every single game where I watch him, whether it's with the puck or without it, where I'm like, oh my God. It's like when I watch him, I feel like what's running through his head is, nah, I'm smarter than you. No, I got this. I'm smarter than you. Like, nobody can trap this kid. He's and again, when he makes a mistake, it's a big one. It's a whopper, but it doesn't happen that often. It's so
Ivan Demidov.
Yeah.
What are you hearing?
I'm hearing the same thing I've heard all year, that May 31st is when his contract expires, and after that, he'll be here, God willing, that the Russians don't do something that keeps him in Russia. I mean, the Canadiens have big plans for that player. Don't expect them to involve him playing for the Canadiens in this playoff chase. If that happens,
it would be really cool, man.
It would be
so
absolutely
cool.
shocking to me. It's a complicated world over there, and I don't think even myself could properly explain what life is like there. It's a different world. A lot of people have asked me questions. I got like everybody else, have WhatsApp threads with brothers and friends, and well, why don't they do this and why don't they do that? And they're very rational, thoughtful questions, but I don't think the stuff that goes on over there is of the same rationale that we apply to different situations. So keep asking irrational questions, but you're not going to get an answer that jives with your rationale of the way things should work here. Like, why doesn't he pay his way out? And why don't the Canadiens front him the money? This isn't about any of that. I think what it's really about, and it could be wrong, people freaking out. I'll tell you this, Tony.
Yeah.
As soon as this kid comes, I will celebrate, not because he's arriving, but because that'll be the day that Roman Rodenberg becomes anonymous again. Like, I am so tired of hearing.
We've been talking about
this
him for
guy.
a while now. Yeah.
Like, and the next time we'll hear about him will be when he's taking credit for how great Demidov is in the NHL. They didn't bench this kid to teach him lessons and this and that. They know that he is a superstar over there. They know that with every goal and assist and tantalizing play he makes that lights up the KHL Twitter account, that they look like the people who couldn't convince him to stick around like Kaprizov did or whoever else. And it's not to punish Demidov. It is because he makes them look bad with every passing day that he is committed to coming to the NHL at the age that he's at, versus staying over there. That's it. That's it. Are they punishing him by making him play out his contract? They have their own ambitions and championships to win in other leagues, and they will use also the time that they have to take every last effort they can to try and keep him there. I don't think they'll be successful in the end. And provided the government doesn't get involved, he'll be in Montreal next year.
Yeah, it would really be awesome with his contract expiring on May 31st.
Next season, not next year, by the way.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no,
of
course. It would really. Could you imagine if he can join them in the playoffs? But before the playoffs, I mean, that would be something.
Get to the Stanley Cup final, and maybe that dream will come true.
Yeah, well, that can, because of course his contract will be expired by then. But Gavrikov was able to join his team with 2 games left in the regular season, if I'm not mistaken, back in the day, right? And we'll see what happens. But
I remember,
with Ska being eliminated, there's talk of him going to play in the VHL now with his brother, and we'll see what happens.
I saw the report from Marco D'Amico, right?
We'll see what happens, and we'll see what happens. But there's no doubt the Montreal Canadiens would love to get him here. And, yes, they went down there to talk to Demidov months ago, and they also went down there to talk to Rotenberg, and they also went down there to maybe try and see if they can, find out why he wasn't playing, minutes all the time and maybe whatever. But I also think that part of them, when going down there, they may have explored, hey, you know what, should your season end a little bit early, what are the chances of him coming over? But anyway, only they know.
I think the main purpose for that trip was just to let Ivan Demidov know we're here and we're ready to welcome you with open arms whenever that time is, and that
But hopefully they brought
important for him to feel,
syrup,
it was important. It was important for them to have contact with their player at that point when he's going through a hard time. He was slumping at that point.
Yeah.
He was also being treated in the manner in which Canadiens fans have been screaming at the top of their lungs about for the entire season. Again, we are all going to crack a beer, maybe from a Bittt.
La Bittt Tibi.
Did I screw that up? Good?
Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
You're so
you know
used
the
to
story
saying it.
about
You
La
say it
Bittt
so
Tibi,
beautifully.
right?
Before you tell me, maybe we'll crack one.
Okay.
When Roman Rodenberg becomes anonymous again to Canadians.
Yeah. You know the story about La Bittt Tibi?
Tell me.
Well, the beer is from Abitibi.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the plant there went on fire, and it was picked up by the Geloso Beverage Group, and now it's being brewed out of their distribution center in Laval.
It must be great.
So that's why it's La Bittt Tibi, formerly from Abitibi.
You know what else was made in Abitibi? Abitibi. Well, I can't say it. You know what else was made there?
No.
Marc-André Perrault. So.
Oh, really? Yes. Yeah. Our buddy formerly from TVA Sport, now part of the police force, of course.
For some reason, it's easier for me to say Temeskaming.
Abitibi Temeskaming.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. We're going to end it with this. It's pretty cool when anyone, even a member of the media, says, hey, that player is amazing. Pretty cool. When a current NHL player says that player is amazing, even cooler. When an NHL superstar says that player is amazing, that's even cooler. When one of the best defensemen ever to play the game, Raymond Bourque, is on Le 5-7 on RDS earlier this evening, and he says about Lane Hutson, the season that he's having this year, I don't think they make the playoffs without him. The difference that he's made with the Habs this year is incredible. I've never seen someone move the puck, he said, and let me see. No, don't go there. I've never seen someone move the puck the way he does with his little movements. I was worried about him at first, but he's incredible. He's going to win the Calder this year, and the Canadiens are going to make the playoffs, and they're going to be a tough team to play against. Then he added on if there's any advice that he could give him, his advice would be, Lane, never be satisfied. Whatever you did today, do it better tomorrow. That's the way I approach my game, and I'm not worried about Lane Hutson. He's a player who won't be satisfied with his success. He went on to say, I'm not worried about him. Every single level that he's played in before college, at BU, in Montreal, from the start of the season to the end of the season, he brings it every night, so I'm not worried about him. I don't think there's much advice to give him. Montreal is very lucky to have him. From the great Raymond Bourque. Man, that guy was good.
Poignant words, really good ones, and he shouldn't be worried because the one thing about Lane is that he's process-driven. He's not results-driven. He had back-to-back 3-point games to start the week.
Yeah.
He's on the ice in between every day with everybody else at home. I know people are like, it's like there's a special, Tavia is setting a cameraman every single off day just to get one clip of Lane Hutson so that they can get their viral moment. Good for them. Good for fans who are eating it up. They love it. They can't get enough of it. You hope this stuff, not that everybody should take all their off days and go practice at the rink. People have kids, they have things to do, and sometimes a mental break from the game is important. What I hope the other Canadiens players and players who come up in the future learn from Lane Hutson is not that necessarily you have to be on the ice every single day and do this and that, is that you should be process driven. And it's not good enough to just be working on your game because you're not scoring points. Go work on your game. Even when you're scoring points, the process can always get better. And that doesn't necessarily mean on the ice. It means off the ice as well. It means your habits. It means your video work. It means the conversations you have. It means how much you're willing to engage. And it's good advice for any of us in any vocation, in yours, in mine, in whatever you do out there. you think you're working really hard, and you probably are, but there's always something else you could be doing to make yourself better, especially if you're already good at something, especially if you've gotten to a place where you're great at it. The pursuit of perfection never leads you to perfection, but it is a worthwhile pursuit because it makes you better than you ever thought you could be. That kid is better than almost anybody ever thought he could be already. And the sky's the limit for him because of that attitude that he has. I hope the other players pick up some of the habits that he has. And I'm not talking about going to the rink every day and getting on the ice. I'm just talking about process-driven thinking. Don't get caught up in your results, because sometimes you have the results and you're not playing as well. And sometimes you don't have the results and you're playing really well. Process is everything.
It's been a lot of fun. We've gone over an hour and we'll end it.
It's been awesome.
I wanted to talk about it at the start of the podcast, but I figured it would probably be more appropriate right at the end. But the hockey world lost, a very important part of its community earlier today. And Sportsnet lost a very dear member of their team as well. Here's a note from Sportsnet's PR department. It's with heavy hearts that we at Sportsnet mourn the passing of Greg Millan, a beloved figure in our hockey community and cherished member of our NHL on Sportsnet team. As both a player and broadcaster, Greg left an indelible mark on the sport, as well as everyone who had the pleasure to know him, watch him, and listen to him. With his infectious passion for the game, sharp insights, and quick wit, Greg was a trusted and familiar voice in the homes of millions of Canadians for more than 30 years. Our deepest condolences go out to Greg's family, friends, colleagues, fans, and all those who were touched by his kindness, expertise, and endless love for the game of hockey. He will be dearly missed. If we can bring up one last picture, there you have it. Greg Millan, 1957 to 2025. Eric, final words to you.
Just a fantastic colleague. I wouldn't go as far to say that we were close friends or anything like that, because I didn't have enough exposure to him in person, but always looked up to Greg. And whenever I did have contact with him, when he came in for games in Montreal, I did a lot of Montreal Canadiens games over the years, sit down and talk with him. We're actually days away from my 10-year anniversary at Sportsnet. So certainly met him a number of times and had some conversations, and the love of the game really came through with him, and just such a nice guy, a wonderful guy. And I'm incredibly sad to see this news. It's heartbreaking. It's very difficult. I feel for all of our colleagues, especially the people who worked with Greg for much longer than the 10 years that I've been with the company. It's hard to digest when you see somebody his age leave us. And I hope, I always say this myself, like we could all be gone in a minute, never mind tomorrow. So just live well and live happy. And I think Greg, you watched the way he lived and the way he did his job and performed his duties, and the impact he made on people that he met, even the people that didn't know him that well enough to call him a friend. He's the type of person you'd want to be friends with, and he's the type of person you'd want to be. It's a big loss. My heart goes out to his family.
Yeah. Thoughts and prayers go out to his family, his friends, his loved ones, and his colleagues for sure. And the circle of life, one left us earlier today, and another one entered this world. The world welcomed earlier today, Carter Michael Gaudreau. As Meredith Gaudreau, Johnny Gaudreau's widow, of course, welcomed their third child into the world. And Michael was Johnny's middle name. And she shared an Instagram post saying that he was born and the exact same size as Johnny was when he was born. And she went on to say he looks exactly like his father. Oof, a lot of emotions today. Eric Engels, thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon.
Real pleasure. Really enjoyed the conversation, Tony.
Thank you. Montreal Canadiens versus Detroit Red Wings tomorrow night. It's the game of the year for the Detroit Red Wings and also for the Montreal Canadiens, because 6 points separating the two teams. The Red Wings have a game in hand, and the Montreal Canadiens can really extend their playoff chances, which are over 85% as we speak, to make the playoffs, with the Rangers losing earlier this evening. Special thanks to everyone for watching. We really appreciate it. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple. It's our way of feeling the love. And for Shane Gomo and Master Control, it's a sick podcast. I'm Marinaro. I'll be back tomorrow night at 10 p.m. following the Canadiens and the Detroit Red Wings with regulars on Tuesday night, Maxime Lapierre from La Poche Bleue and TVA Sport, and Pierre Maguire. Have a good night, everyone.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. La Vida Tibi, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.